Welcome everybody. Today we are going to start a new segment called Take 2 with Wiki Nanjapa. Wiki Nanjapa is a special correspondent with Oneindia and he has been working with us for a very long time. Today's topic that we are going to talk about is the persecution of Sikhs in Pakistan. Why do we call it Take 2? The reason is most of the people see and look at the most obvious things that are visible, but there is a need of special people, intelligent and smart people who can get into the layers and tell us what the real scenario is, and that's why Wiki Nanjapa is here. Welcome, Wiki.
Thank you.
So, what do you think is the actual, fracas that has happened in Pakistan? Can you please elaborate on this?
Yeah, I mean, I see this, a very dual approach by Pakistan on the issue of Sikhs in particular, because on one hand, when terrorism or militancy was shot down basically by KPS Gill in Punjab, a lot of them moved away to Pakistan out there, and they have nurtured these Khalistani terrorists for long out there, and now there's this plan to relaunch them. On one hand, you say that you are very much worried about their cause, and then you have the persecution of Sikhs which takes place out there. Two recent incidents, the stoning at Nankan Sahib and the other one, the killing of Ravinder Singh in Pakistan. They just show that these continued attempts of targeting the minorities out there keeps going on there. So, and if you look at the statistics, there are no official statistics per se, because they did their last census only in 2017. There were around 40,000 Sikhs back in 2002. The numbers come down to around 8,000 today. Okay. Again, I'm not saying it's an official one because they don't have a statistic. There's a lot of human rights activists back in Pakistan who have given these statements. So you see that complete dual approach. One hand you're talking about the benefit of Punjab if it gets into the hands of the Khalistanis. On the other hand, you're doing this. Now the question is, where have so many Sikhs gone? Have they been killed? Have they been converted? So this is a very pertinent question. And then again you see the duality of Imran Khan there, when he talks about the Kartarpur Sahib project out there. Mm-hmm. He says that this is historic and all that. Now, if you're going to have incidents like this where openly people come and stone and the police are not this one, how are you going to guarantee the safety of these pilgrims? Because this is a very sentimental issue for them, including Nankan Sahib basically. I mean, they were very sad to leave that place and come after partition, because it was the birthplace of Guru Nanak. So this is what keeps happening, and unless they kind of address that issue, I don't think you can really trust them so much. I mean, we've never trusted them, that's one part of it, but this is happening a little too blatantly.
Okay. So Vicky, one very obvious question that comes to my mind is, Khalistan movement has been primarily, considered to be based out of Canada and UK.
Right.
So why is this innovative, revival of the Khalistan from the Pakistani side that started to happen in the past 6 or 8 months or maybe 1 year? Why have they started reinvesting into this Khalistani movement?
Right. About Canada, that's right. The think tanks are all around. Mm-hmm. There is this group called Sikhs for Justice.
Uh-huh.
So they are the ones who have this thing which they have started called as Referendum 2020. Now this has come up pretty recently. That means Referendum 2020. Let's call for the separation of Punjab from India in the year 2020. That is one thing. Now, other thing is that some level they see that the traction on the Kashmir movement is coming down, okay. And now they're going to try and needle more in Punjab, considering, as we were discussing earlier, the abrogation of Article 370, and they've taken total control over that, over the Union territory, if I may say now. So you start needling here, and also to keep you on the edge from both fronts. Mm-hmm. So that has also been this one. Thankfully, Referendum 2020 or the Khalistan movement has not picked traction among the locals in Punjab. Mm-hmm. As a result of which, it's their whole thing is not. I mean, if you say that their plan is not working, as they would have wanted it to. So here, there, and also one more thing is that when you talk about Kartarpur Sahib, this one, they have let the Sikhs for Justice go and open an office out there, so that you start propagating among the pilgrims and all that. So they are trying. It is not working as expected, but they would continue to try.
This referendum 2020 that the Pakistani government, all their security agencies are trying to push for, do they not understand that when they talk about Khalistan and they talk about Khalistan as a entity away from India, there is a danger of it spilling out into their own territory also, because 2/3 of the Punjab area is there with Pakistan.
Right.
So the Khalistanis will eventually call out for a united Punjab, and it will be coming back to bite them, as has happened with the militancy that they supported in Kashmir, and the all Islamic Sharia law and everything that has come back to bite them.
Right, that is true. It's not working out now, but over a period of time, for very many years, Pakistan has been relevant on the map because of this policy. That is one thing. Because of this policy, the amount of funds they have taken, in the name of fighting terror.
Yeah.
So it all kind of works out very well for them. Terrorism militancy is hardly a worry at all for them, because if that is not there, then it. And they really protect them also. I mean, I'll give you a very small example of what happened was 26/11 Mumbai attack.
Yeah.
Was an attack which was plotted by a guy called Ilyas Kashmiri of 313 Brigade. And that was a time there was a lot of unrest within the Lashkar-e-Taiba, who said, our Taliban brothers are dying, they're fighting the US, so we want to go there. And the ISI did not want that to happen.
Okay, that's interesting.
They did not want that to happen. So they contact Ilyas Kashmiri and they said this attack will be carried out by these people. So it's either for those terrorists out there, either you're fighting the US or you're fighting India. So they kept them united that way. So this is kind of a policy that they follow. So when we come back to the Khalistan movement again, it works out two ways. There, you keep, you will try doing your best in trying to, brainwash the pilgrims out there. And if it erupts on a small scale here, and then it starts becoming a chain reaction, then again it causes instability in the region, which is pretty much what they want.
Okay. Now coming back to this attack that happened on the Punjabi or the Sikh minority in Nankana Sahib, my question is, where does it actually place Indian politicians, especially from Punjab, like Mr. Amarinder Singh or Mr. Navjot Singh Sidhu, because there was a lot of bonhomie, there was a lot of interest shown by specifically Navjot Singh Sidhu, who is supposed to be an old friend of Mr. Imran Khan because of his cricket ties with him. Where does he see himself now, and what is the line that these Punjabi politicians or the politicians from Punjab should be taking?
Right.
And the most amazing thing that is there is both these voracious voices that are coming out both belong to the same party, that is Congress.
Right.
Akalis, I don't see them speaking much. I don't see any of the Badal families, people talking about it or mentioning anything about it. Apart from once in a while poking Sidhu or Mr. Amarinder Singh. And I see both of them, Navjot Singh Sidhu as well as Mr. Amarinder Singh, holding the different edges of the same stick.
Right, that is true. Sidhu, basically, in a sense, over a period of time, if I've looked at Sidhu, basically it has been, let me say everything diagonally opposite to what Amarinder Singh is saying.
Yeah.
Amarinder Singh has been very vocal about this. This is one. And I think Sidhu, being a politician from Punjab, basically, needs to be more vocal about it. Okay? That is one thing. Because there is a concern. That is one thing. Nobody is questioning the corridor. I mean, it's a great initiative by both countries. And let's hope that, it works out well, so there is some amount of sanity that is restored between the two countries. But then there are always these elements, where would like to, trigger violence, trigger, problem and things like that. Now, again, that brings us to the question: if Imran Khan is really interested in, having better ties, and he wants a peaceful solution to it, the question is, will the ISI allow him to have it? We've seen that repeatedly in Pakistan, which is happening. In fact, even when Narendra Modi landed in Pakistan and spoke to Nawaz Sharif, 1 week later we got Pathankot attack. So that is basically how the ISI operates.
Yeah.
Both Sidhu as well as Amarinder Singh, they need to understand is that it is their people who are going there. So safety is prime. is of great importance. You know, you don't want to go see your people getting killed out there. That's one thing. And the way he hugged General Bajwa,
yeah.
or you know, his friendship with this, I really wish he uses, you know, his good office to, you know, talk to them and ensure the safety of his people, which I think is the most important concern.
Okay. So is there any possibility of the Pakistan trying to or attempting to revive the Khalistani movement? Would we be seeing a lot of infiltration or a lot of participation or a lot of these Khalistani people coming into Kashmir, infiltrating Kashmir, or you know, in the form of militants coming into it? Because so far we have only seen disgruntled Kashmiri from either the POK, from even as far as Afghanistan, you know, those militias and these kind of people coming in and infiltrating and creating the ruckus that they have created.
The one thing we can be very sure of is that, you know, the Khalistani terrorists who you know, sent from Pakistan into India, they won't be allowed to wage the battle in Kashmir.
Okay.
As I said, you know, on that one respect, that Pakistan has a lot of rules. That is reserved for Hizbul and Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. So they will not let those boundaries overlap them.
Okay.
But we have seen activity of the Jaish-e-Mohammed in Punjab.
Okay.
Pathankot attack, you know, here and there. And just before, I think one Kashmiri terrorist, I mean, he belonged to this Ansarul Ghazwatul Hind, that he was killed on the day the election results were declared. He has done a lot of wrecking in Punjab. So you will see that kind of infiltration, but the ones who are trained in for the Khalistan movement, they will be asked to, you know, stick to Punjab.
Okay. Coming back again to what has happened in Pakistan, where do the minority, especially the Sikh community, and I mean, we cannot not mention the one of the major minority sections there in Pakistan, that is the Hindus there.
Yes.
Where do they see themselves? I'll briefly mention the CAA that has been brought in. Are they feeling confident? Are they feeling, you know, like there is some kind of a hope instead of moving to, or they do not have any escape route, right? Now with this CAA, there seems to be a kind of a window that India has opened, and you know, for them.
Right.
So can they imagine, or can they think of crossing the borders and coming to India?
They could come into the, they could come into India. There's nothing stopping them. The only thing is that this new law will not be applicable to them because there is a cut-off date of the December 2014. That is one. So this law will not. So even if they have to come here, that is, you know, not just the Hindus, but any community for that matter, they'll have to get a citizenship through naturalization. That is going to be the process. The other thing is that, you know, there is persecution, no doubt, which is happening in Pakistan, but a lot of people, you know, for generations together they've lived. That would be a last choice, you know, they would want to make, you know, after leaving your home at the end of it. That is the last choice. But when it gets really bad, many have resigned to resigned to their fate. The biggest problem with Pakistan is why these minority gets persecuted is because when General Ziaullah came in, he has amended the constitution and the laws to such a way which protects the 97% majority against the 3% minority. Now that is something, you know, quite unnatural, and it's from there that we saw that big change which was happening and the persecution increasing. Taliban coming in, you know, ask you to pay that land tax and all that. So it's kind of difficult there. But as we said, only those who have come before that date of December 2014 will be eligible or entitled for this law.
Since the outing of Mr. General Pervez Musharraf, and then Mr. Kiani, and now Mr. General Bajwa, there is a continuity of policy in the Pakistani administration. They are still the same. They carry out the same hatred against India. They carry out. They talk about Kashmir. They talk about. It's exactly the same. Nothing has changed.
Correct.
Now there is a very interesting event that happened in Pakistan a few months ago. The Supreme Court of Pakistan has actually called the extension of General Bajwa for the next 3 years as completely invalid.
Correct.
So how do you see this the policy of antagonism against India
Right.
going forward in Pakistan? How do you see it panning out, or will there be some kind of a discontinuity, or we just cannot like, even think about it?
This extension thing which happened, it's only going on to show us that, why they so desperately wanted Nawaz Sharif out, because he was one person who at least stand up to them, at least his brother Shahbaz Sharif. I think. Imran Khan was a plant of the army at that time. He was a plant of the army. Problem is that it only goes on to show that the military is getting stronger, getting stronger. And as we discussed initially, is that unless they keep hammering and resorting to violence, that is a narrative which basically suits them basically. So General Bajwa's extension is only a sign of the army getting stronger, and they feel that with India being aggressive, with Article 370 and Balakot or surgical strike, they feel that democracy is coming in the way. Okay, the democracy is coming in the way. I wouldn't be too surprised if I see that they make sure that he's out, there's a coup, and then General Pervez Musharraf kind of this one.
Or deja vu.
Yeah,
Again.
a deja vu kind of thing. Yeah, that's the thing. But also, there's one more thing. The thing is, if I just spoke to a couple of officers who've been part of these discussions. Sometimes, if the general is sensible, it's a better option to talk to the general, because he's the one who takes the final call. Now, if you're talking to the democratically elected leader, he still has to go through the general and then come and give the view. So there's a one point this one. But in case of General Bajwa, we don't expect anything of that sort. If he does manage his extension and then he does, yield more control over the establishment, then definitely there is going to be escalation. Because sometimes it's just about ego, they've come and scrapped it, we need to do something. By scrapping it, we've said it's no longer bilateral, it's our internal issue.
So, of all the military generals, I think General Zia-ul Haq was the last dictator from Pakistan, who was again a military man, which India actually had some kind of a direct talks with.
Right.
Maybe I can talk Pervez Musharraf.
Yes.
Because he was only. So why is it that the civilian government in India or elsewhere, even say for example the government in USA or government in UK or even the United Nations, why are they not addressing the elephant in the room? Why don't they talk directly to him, and instead of going and talking to the civilian governments, which are puppet governments in Pakistan?
Right, that is true. See, the thing is, one thing what happened is, even after when Musharraf he came to power, there was after a certain time that the US did start putting pressure on them that the democracy has to be restored. Now, once you have a democratically elected government, the process mandates that you talk only to the democratically elected government. The only thing which you can do with the generals is back channel talks. That is one, which is also important, because those talks with the general are not exactly valid in a democratic setup.
So it's always the perception, the game of perception.
Yes, that is
so
right.
the entire world wants to show that a civilian authority is the most important authority rather than any military personnel or dictator.
Right.
Makes an interesting point here. So now coming back to this violence that happened in Nankana time, what actually is the story? Apart from 500 different channels that we keep reading and watching, and we don't know what actually is the narrative and what is the real story.
Alright. See, this again, as I said, when there is any peace gesture between the two countries, the ISI, the army always, they do something to ensure that it is derailed.
Okay.
Because that is the narrative which they would basically want. That is one thing. This particular guy, Mohammed Hassan, he was a couple of months back, or rather last October, he was accused of abducting the priest's daughter. The priest's daughter. And he's said to have forcibly converted her and even married her. And then, later he came and gave out that denial saying, no, she came on her own way.
Okay.
And there were clashes at that time between the two. So, it's one spill out of that, and this is also another way of, frightening those people, because he said, I'm going to put up a mosque out here, I'm going to break this down, that is. It's like playing with sentiment, so that, again, the violence. I mean, the thing is, religion is a very, is a very touchy issue. I mean, everywhere
across the
basically.
world, yeah.
Here in the Nankana Sahib, as I said, a very revered place for the Sikhs out there. And then, you go openly, make all these things. You're instigating them, you want to fight. And so, they will not be able to fight out there. It's not their country. And then, they are in minority and all that. So, this is a pattern, basically. It is a pattern out there. And for some strange reason, Pakistan doesn't seem to be very happy with our citizenship law either.
Yeah.
Okay. So, these are factors which are there, and these are all small tipping points. This one tipping points. You try to put the fear there. You're trying to build a narrative around there. In other words, you're trying to say you always need to be scared here. You're a second-class citizen. So this is what the whole the attempt was. The other day. Yeah.
Okay. So, I have taken a lot of time from you. Last closing statement from you. I'll ask you 3 questions. What is the lessons that the minorities in India or the majority population in India has to learn from the incident that has happened there? 1. Second question is, with this attack on the Guru Nanak's holy abode, is this going to help Pakistan for the Khalistani movement or not?
Okay.
These 2 questions pertinently. And third question is, how do you see Pakistan or the current security establishment in Pakistan, what will be their approach? Because there are 2 major failures that they see. One is the Article 370 that India brought.
Right.
Second is Kartarpur corridor, which they thought would be a different game, but it actually fell into our lap, and it seems that India is winning.
Right. Okay. The first question about the minorities in both this one. Now that is, entirely for the governments to work on, because, law and order is a state subject, that is one thing. The protection is always important, and the thing is, we at the end of the day are not Pakistan as a country. The thing is, we wouldn't want our minorities to be persecuted, or, we wouldn't want that. That is not a setup at all. Whereas there is a genuine attempt to persecute and make sure that they go extinct. Okay, either join a fold or you'll be killed. That kind of approach is there. And about the second question you mentioned, that was about
we were talking about the security establishment in Pakistan.
Yeah.
How will they react looking at the failure in Kashmir as Article 370 was brought in, and the Kartarpur corridor, which actually fell into our lap, and it seems that India is there.
See, currently, one thing is there. People say that the snow in Kashmir does, bring a lot of calm. Basically, there's no infiltration that happens during that time, and contrary to report that they will try to infiltrate and all that. So sometimes establishment thinks that snow is the best solution out there. So it's relatively calm out there. And today there's a lot of security force out there. So it may not be easy for them to operate there.
Okay.
Now the concern out there in Jammu Kashmir today is basically the ones who have already infiltrated and who are there. So these are the people who need to be tackled first. One, because the enemy inside, especially the ones from there. And India has very clearly said the terrorists from India, we are going to give them that, the surrender package, the reformation, but that is not available to the Pakistani terrorists.
Okay.
That is one.
The foreign mercenaries.
Yeah, no mercy. No mercy.
Yeah.
There will be attempts, as you see, 2,500 ceasefire violations in 2019.
Yeah, the highest ever.
The highest. So that is going to continue, that because that works as cover fire for them to infiltrate. That is, one thing. And on Kartarpur, as I said, that great initiative, it's really respecting the sentiment of a community, who revere Guru Nanak so much. Let it not become an ugly affair. That's the thing. It's, and it's a lot for Pakistan to do on that front, because now they've said that the investigation has begun into that. Let's hope that, they actually convict that guy, or
at least
bring him to court, a fair trial basically, and not protect it, because if this guy gets away, then we have to continue always looking at them with doubt, and let's think that pilgrims, they're going to pray, they're not going to create any trouble. So, in the interest of those people at least, let them, put out a genuine effort to protect these people. From the Nankan Sahib incident, as well as the killing of Ravinder Singh, we have to, always understand that they're not a nation that can be trusted. There's much more that they have to do on that front, which means our border have to be, secured. It has to be tight. Our intelligence has to be very good, because they are going to needle, and they will always, try and fight a war on two fronts. One in Kashmir and one in Punjab. Basically, that is one. And the worst part is it's going to be a proxy war.
Okay.
The proxy war. Now, the proxy war, what keeps happening is, they infiltrate, they bomb. There's, very famous saying, they need to get it right once, whereas the police need to get it right all the time.
Okay.
That is one part of it. So we need to keep putting pressure on Pakistan. I mean, they have to stand up for their minority out there, and they have to ensure that, if they are really being genuine about Kartarpur, then the security has to be good, and they shouldn't use it as a corridor to, start infiltrating their terrorists through that corridor, because the security is not exactly like how it is at the border out there, because it's a pilgrim path. That is one thing. So that's how I foresee it.
Thank you, Wiki. This is why I'm requesting all of you to come and watch our interviews, and this is called Take Two. The reason is you would have gone through it, you would have listened to us. There is nothing that is obvious. There is a lot of deep information and knowledge that Wiki shared with us. So please come back, and we will share another episode of Take Two with Wiki Nanjapa, with another interesting episode, interesting information, and lot of amazing in-depth security details. Thank you very much.
Thank you.